Hey, I can't feel no hate, like it can't penetrate. I was born a grace, so sometimes it be hard to wait for me. But I heard that faith used practically is patience, basically. So, shout out to Mello, ain't scared to make a mistake, cause we like jello. Hold up, let me split this willow. The cut is a pillow, scriptures are on about no memos. I cannot lose you, way too amused by money and bitches, it got you confused. Like, where's the purpose? You want some earth shit, moving so nervous to feel you. I told you I'm really impervious. I used to being myself, it's way more worth it. These verses got me emerging, world gon' know my name like she done chopping, nigga, in a racket, pockets overflowing, give it to my people. See, trauma the root of all evil, the money we making regardless. I'm healing off dealing with charges up in the county, no shit rowdy. Don't blame anybody who got it, I know it's just harder to notice your power. The living example, I'm winning if life is a gamble. But God ain't shit I can't handle, I'm risking it all if I have to. Dave, life don't make no guarantees. It's all up to you. All these possibilities, I'm gonna see it through. I'm gonna risk it all. I got so much faith, fuck if I'm gon' fall. If this what God done gifted me, I'ma get this shit my all. My all, my all, my all, my all. Whole world waking up, like fuck all the stories they telling us. The history wrong, I'm telling ya. It's stuck in your mind and tear it up. Talking like, yeah, bruh, these bitches ain't shit, get your money up. And the women talking like they real sluts, like they like it when they get fucked. They left you dead when the baby come, need better love. Or the married one in the world where it's like a marathon and the same shit keep going on. Everybody hurting, keep doing, wanna help us all get along. Know it's gonna take more than one song, but fuck it, we gon' have to sing along to get it right. Like, I deserve better love. I know I got problems, I've been working on my nerves. I know I be tripping and hear the hurt. I can hear the words from my higher self saying it's gonna be okay. I see better days. I can't make a way if I don't start to be the change. It's gonna be okay. I see better days. I can't make a way if I don't start to be the change. Yeah, life don't pay no guarantees. It's all up to you. All these possibilities, I'm gonna see it through. I'm gonna risk it. I got so much faith in me, give a fuck if I'm gon' fall. If this what God done give me, I'ma give this shit my all. My all, my all, my all, my all, yeah. Ooh. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B.
They don't have much of a chance of changing anything.
You watching on TV where we go beyond that everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis.
We can lead ourselves.
You know what I'm saying?
And not be led by people.
Gotta let it ride out real quick.
Highly moral or awesome. They may seem.
Are you I would. So what's up, what's up, what's up with y'all? You know what I'm saying? We up early. I don't know what happened to the live stream last night, but it's not letting me make it public for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that, but for the most part, I was like, I got some time this morning, so let me get up. Let me, you know, I was already up and shit like that, but I was like, let me just go ahead and go live again. And we gonna kind of do a quick recap. The moon's gonna be sliding into Leo today and shit like that. So something to be aware of now as far as energy goes. I was explaining last night, part of what we need to be understanding about this time period, right? Moon's still in Cancer. Again, Cancer is cardinal water. So with Cancer being where the moon is at right now, we need to pay attention to our emotional state and be putting ourselves in a more comfortable state of being. And see, right now we have that, even though things in your immediate surrounding, which you might be aware of due to the sun being in Virgo, might not feel it might make you feel more stressed and almost like there's no way out of your situation. But you know, from the Mercury going direct, you have more of a clear idea of where you actually take things, and that's kind of one of the benefits. Like this Mercury retrograde it was pretty rough, especially that the last week or so of the retrograde. We got hit with a lot of angles that was making us think a lot, you know, a lot of thinking, a lot of stressing, a lot of things on our mind. And whenever there's heavy things on your mind, harder, you know what I'm saying? When your mind is cluttered and stuff like that, life gets cluttered and it feels very confusing. And you know, that's like one of the first frustrations we usually feel, is when we feel overwhelmed mentally. It's hard to do anything else in your environment. It's hard to do anything else in your life, because when your mind is not clear and clean, this is where, again, your decision making becomes off. You lose confidence in your decisions. Like, think about it like this, right? The worst, the mistakes, the majority of mistakes you make is coming from times in which you made a decision, but immediately after you made that decision, you was worried and stressed about the result or the outcome of that decision. And part of the relationship, even between Mercury and Jupiter, is Jupiter is the experience of it. Mercury is the analyzation and the communication going on in between. So sometimes, right, when you're going through an experience, the best way to go through an experience is not with so much heavy thought. You know, we have to live, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you go about life and you're always trying to figure something out, you're always trying to think the situation, you're going to miss out on the nuance. You're going to miss out on, you know, probably, you know, what life is kind of about, which is just the experience itself. You know what I'm saying? You have to experience first, and then you take that information and you're able to decipher it based upon looking at the results of what happened from that experience, and then that becomes what you can learn for next time, right? And then also making sense out of it so you can condense it into information for yourself and to be able to be communicated to others. You know what I'm saying? That's like Mercury and Jupiter's relationship. You know, Jupiter being ruled by Sagittarius and Pisces energy, Mercury being ruled by Gemini and Virgo. And we've been having a lot of heavy mutable squares, you know, a lot of learning and opposition, right? So learning and balance necessary when it comes to what we are experiencing and what we believe, our faith in those things. And then also, and when I say faith in those things, I mean faith in things we can't necessarily see immediately. Faith and work go hand in hand, though. You know, it's cool to have beliefs and dreams and things like that, but if you're not turning that into practical things, you environment on a consistent basis, on some kind of a schedule, you set yourself up for a letdown, because nothing can work if you're not working. You know what I'm saying? As a spirit, yeah, we can do miraculous things, but there's no such thing as you sitting on your ass hitting the jackpot. You know what I'm saying? That's a story that was fabricated based upon what they want, you know. And when I say they, I'm talking about shadow government processes and systems that, you know, have people kind of on dummy missions. Instead of knowing a purpose, their whole life is made to go get money and shit like that, when money ain't the actual point. You know what I'm saying? It's the things you could do with money 9 times out of 10. And people who still believe that their pursuit or their purpose is to get a lot of money, or their, you know, these are people who play out energies of kind of being insatiable. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're never going to have all the money you like. I don't want to say, but it's like, if your purpose is just to get a lot of money, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. A life that's meant to, it's almost like the metaphor of, you know, chasing a carrot on a stick. You know what I'm saying? When, you know, you're being led basically based upon your desire, but that's an insatiable desire. So your life is set up in a way where you're kind of just going to be running in circles and led to wherever, you know. And again, it's all about who controls that carrot stick that you're chasing. So, or in metaphor terms, going back to the original point, it's all about that desire you're chasing. And we live in a world where, again, the individuals who run the world created desires for people to get lost in. So instead of committing their life to their purpose and doing what actually makes them feel fulfilled, they end up living a life chasing something that was designed by somebody else. This is how you get let off a cliff esoterically. It's like, as a spirit, you put your all into something that was finite, something that was created and fabricated from somebody else's mind. So it's like at the end of your life, if all you did is money, you'll probably look at yourself on your deathbed and be like, damn, what was the purpose of it all? Or what, you know, you kind of feel like your life was in a way worthless if you don't have a clear idea of what you're actually trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Money should just be a tool, a resource, something you collect along the way, you know, something you do to keep the responsibilities going, to make it possible to spend more time in what you actually want to be invested in. And I mean, last night talking about the relationship between time and money. If you don't have a lot of money, you need to be using your time. If you don't have a lot of time, you need to be using your money. So what that looks like is, again, if you don't have a lot of money, you know, use the time you have either to invest into that idea, do research and to create, and, you know, say, be in that space of what you're trying to do, right? Or spend that time at a job getting the money necessary to be able to support those things, or vice versa. If you have the money but you don't have the time, this is when you can take your money and you could hire somebody to do things you can't do due to your lack of time, you know. So time and money is a very tight-knit relationship, and we should always we should always understand the axis between the two, especially in this world. This world is transactional, the world that they've created. Life itself is not necessarily, it doesn't have to be that way. But in the context of society and the world we're in, that's the way it works. Everything is transactional. So what you give, you have to understand in some way it's a give and receive. So you always have to also see for yourself whether or not what you're investing in is giving you a appropriate return on investment. Am I well compensated? And that further than, you know, an analogy, a good analogy is a job, you know what I'm saying? Because it's normal pay versus some jobs do the same amount of hours and you get double that pay. So it's like, you know, it's all about the compensation. Now, due to your circumstance, you might have to do something that isn't giving you the highest form of compensation. And see, even in situations like that, right, you can come up with creative ways to get more out of that distance, right? You might be working at a job that's not paying as much, but you're able to, which you might not be getting paid, you're able to rationalize that with maybe the experience you get from doing that job for a certain amount of time, or connections and relationships you able to foster from that job. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's easy to say, I hate doing this, I don't want to do this, and we live in a world that's, you know, all kinds of corrupt and shit like that. And so, you know, to become frustrated with what you might have to do for your actual goals. And see, again, this is why purpose is even important in the beginning, because a purpose keeps your eye on a prize. So when you're going through these day-to-day things and these things that become mundane and become drained, you're able to kind of recharge yourself based upon what you know that you're actually using resource for. You know, I'm putting this on a schedule because I'm trying to build up something. And that's a key for Virgo season, because Virgo season is all about it, because every earth transit or season that we go through is about foundation building. So it's just in different modalities, so it's different ways that we're going about this building of a foundation. In Taurus season, it's about being stable on one thing. In Capricorn season, it's about trying to be more of an authority. So this is you in the mountains, this is you directing things, being more of a boss. And then in all of, like I said, all of it is going towards a foundation being built. In Virgo season, it's about the consistency and understanding the process in the inner workings of it. This requires you to be very particular and get very specific on details about what's actually causing this to function correctly, causing this to not function in the most efficient way it possibly could. And that's where you start calculate, okay, this is a proper place to invest my time and my money. And remember, when we talk about time, is also synonymous with energy. You know what I'm saying? Like the time you have is, because anytime we talk about, like, I like to, when you're talking about time management, you're talking about energy management. So when I say time, you could also convert that into energy, because think about it, might be your day off, but if you don't have energy to do productive things during that day, you might as well not had that time at all. Time is still necessary and it matters, because that's time you spent recharging. But in this case, in what I'm explaining, you know, when we're talking about time, I'm talking about time that's productive. So time and money being on that axis, it's like there's you know, but see, and that's why I'd even make the argument, time itself spent relaxing is still time well spent, but the more intentional and aware you are of what you're doing and your situation itself and the relationship between the two, right? Because it's like everything, how they say, like everything is math, low-key. One thing about math is about formulas. So when you're thinking about life in general, you should try to come up with your own formulas. Like spiritually, I like to come up with like spiritual formulas where, like, if you understand this and how this is, like I was just explaining, there's where you want to go, your goals, dreams, or whatever, your goals. I'm gonna just say goals to keep it simple. Your goals, and then there's your present position and circumstance, and there's a relationship between the two. So it's kind of like in math, right? You got one element and you got one digit and another digit. I forgot what they use for the thing, but you got one digit and another digit, right? It might be like 8 plus X equals 10.
So you would solve for X. Life and shit like that. It's kind of like a form of doing that, but on a spiritual sense. There's where you want to go as a goal, and then there's where you at. Now you have to calculate the time or the distance or the relationship between where you're at and where you're trying to go. And this X that you're solving, like your routine, your pace, you know, your pacing and your energy management, all things that kind of relate to that. So if you come up with a steady, consistent routine, pace, or procedure system, then you can start to calculate, and you know, be careful with this too, but you can start to calculate your progress towards that goal. See, you know what I'm saying? And that's why it's important to kind of have an idea or vision of where you actually trying to take things. And then there's the self-awareness to be able to recognize, okay, I'm in this situation. I have these habits. I have these distractions. I have this much actual time. I have this much actual money. All of that factors into your current circumstance in the present. A lot of people get too invested in trying to get to the future, but they don't consider where they actually are. So what happens is they try to do too much. They put too much on their plate. They over expect certain things to come at a time frame. And this is also how you get people with unrealistic expectations, where they want to get there, but they're not doing anything in a present moment, or they're not honest with themselves about where they're at. So the amount of work they try to put in to get to that goal is unrealistic to ever reach that goal, because they're not doing enough. They're not working hard enough. And even when it comes to working hard, it's about working smart. So again, a better investment of time and time and money can help reduce unnecessary expenditures, expenses, basically. You know what I'm saying? If you get what I'm saying, like if you know where to direct your time, energy, and then your money, you get a better return on investment. You get properly compensated in a way that makes sense. Can actually start to say, okay, I'm making progress in this particular area of life. I'm making progress on the pursuit of my goal, or whatever it is that you got going on, that you doing, because everybody should be in life. There's a substantial amount of people who probably ain't doing shit with their life. But this channel in particular, I'm talking to people who got an idea and are on pursuit of something, on some kind of path or mission. You know what I'm saying? At least that's the expectation I kind of have for the people who tune into me, because that's the space I'm in. So, I'm doing deductive reasoning and say, well, I'm probably attracting people in a similar type mentality. And if, this is the channel in which you potentially can figure out, oh, this is maybe what I'm not doing in life, and the reason why my life is the way it is. And again, to stick with it, stick with me, you know what I'm saying? Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, you know what I'm saying? Then, okay, now you're on the pursuit of something, you know what I'm saying? And those who it don't resonate with, you know what I'm saying? Y'all go about y'all business, and it's all good. And that's how it's supposed to be. But getting into, back into what I was explaining with the astrology behind today. So the moon being in Cancer, so after all of the energy we experienced, Mercury is now direct. We have a much clearer idea of at least things, right? And Mercury is in Leo. So it's all about, again, it's back to center stage and expression, attention. It's where your mind's attention is on right now. So right now, you have an idea of what that expression needs to be. The retrograde brought you to circumstances that was kind of testing. And it's a lot of like what I was saying back in Leo season, where it was all about integrity. And we see now with celebrities being hit with things that prove that they wasn't having good integrity during the time of either Leo season or retrograde. It's like pre-retrograde and retrograde shit. And how we know they're not having integrity is based upon how they handle a lot of that retrograde energy, based upon them coming up with better ways to go about situations, being more true to self, authentic, and explain, you know what I'm saying, communicating their point. But really, even in all of that, it's about the character that they was presenting. The thing about Leo is like the character you show into the world. So when you think about those energies, right, that's why integrity is so important, and why I made that, why I made a clip out of that portion of the live. It's like, when it comes to your integrity, is how this starts to become the value of your character. Like how people say, well, word is bond, or, what I'm saying, a person is only as good as their word. This starts to become, this is another form of how much integrity you got behind your character. Because if your character ain't shit, I don't care how good it looks. No, it's how good it looks. It's not actually worth anything, because when things get hard or times switch up, we can almost depend that individual who's portraying that character to fold, because that's not who they really are, versus somebody who really is that. So they really got the integrity behind who they are, who they present themselves to be. That becomes dependability and trust in oh, I can almost expect that this character, this person is going to be solid through anything. And that holds a lot more value, even if a person, you know, is attracted to the accolades and all the things you're doing for attention. And if they are attracted to that, the worth of that attention or that character, it falls short if that character can't even be trusted because they're not being themselves. And right now, that's the shift going on. Everybody is being put in that category where the individuals who's on the right path, these are going to be people who step into the responsibilities necessary to uphold a character. Those who fall short, these are going to be people, and it's a difference between giving your all and falling short versus not trying, or understanding that something is not for you, so you fall off. You know, the thing about it is, even if you attempt something, if it's truly you, even if you fall short, there's something that can compensate for the fact that you might have made mistakes, or you might not have hit the mark. It's going to be in a lot of that is not necessarily even represent external validation. It's more of an internal confirmation that, you know, okay, I just got to work on. So that becomes your own way of staying motivated on a journey and path. You know, you might not be getting the results. Like, for instance, you want to be a musician, you might not be getting all the plays, you might not be making your hits yet, you haven't made your hit, you haven't found your sound yet. It's an innate drive to continue on and work on it and develop your craft. And if you keep on that path and not get dragged down by fear and allow yourself to become your worst enemy, in a sense, to drag you down and keep from actually, you know, going as far as you can in that area, then you'll eventually expand in that area. You become better. You know, one thing about anything that we do, you know, today's time, everybody's addicted to get rich quick schemes and things like that. One thing you got to keep in mind: anything that you're trying to build and establish a rapport around, or status around, and again, I'm not just talking about fame and shit, but I mean a status, aka you developed a craft, you trying to make it to that 10th house space, you're building on something. Anything you're trying to build cannot be built properly if there's no real commitment to that thing. And commitment goes deep. Even I don't have the exact definition of commitment, but to commit to something, to be devoted to something, is to take that commitment to the next level. To be devoted is to be so finely focused into that area of life that it's almost like, no matter what, to persevere becomes in nature. You know, like, but all of this plays out into you having the proper willpower, and willpower is one of the tools that we have down here to get things done. But nothing great can be built if there's no real commitment to that thing, because the second the weather change, second something happens, the second you in a feeling that you're or depressed or dealing with any kind of emotion, your mind is on something else. The minute you allow that distraction, you basically open up the door for that distraction to take you off task. And, you know, and again, that goes back to like prioritizing too. Just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean that it needs to take priority over your life. For instance, in that example, you might want to be a musician, but it's like you might have to come up with a better way, reprioritize where you put your time and energy, because your time, energy, and money might need to be directed towards getting your living together, or getting this together, and getting other things that make it easier to, and make it make sense for your path to work. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of just that discernment that comes with being more aware as a spirit. As you develop and grow, start to become more aware of, you know, how to prioritize things. But you won't be aware of it if you're not actually immersed and committed to it. Because again, a person not really committed to it, let's say they do have to take their time and attention and give it elsewhere, they might completely abandon that path for the sake of not really being committed to the work it takes. They might say, okay, well, let me just give up on that because it's too hard. You know, and the thing about everything in life is difficult. You know, nothing down here is necessarily easy, and it's for a reason, because, you know, that's the thing. In order to any creation process, it takes that work in order to get it done. Like it's like these are necessaries that have to be incorporated into something being produced in the world. You know, even if something natural to you, a talent, still you have to develop that craft to be able to produce on a certain level. You know what I'm saying? And as you expand awareness, you need, it's almost like, you know, every artist deals with this, right? You have this big idea of something to create, but there might be a skill issue. You might not actually have the skill and ability to produce exactly what's in your mind into the external, whether that be painting, music, whatever it is. A lot of us have beautiful dreams and beautiful creativity and ideas, but don't know how to articulate them ourselves. And so some people find others to do it through, aka a songwriter who writes for artists to take their song to the next level or something like that. But even in that, there's still a requirement to develop the craft of songwriting. You're not going to be the one performing it. It's not about that. And then also, that's something for you to understand too. Not everything is meant for you to do all aspects of it. Even if you focus on one aspect that you really like, develop that craft first. And it might lead you to learn other aspects, I mean, naturally. But, you know, the more specific you can be with how you direct your time and energy, the more you'll get out of something. You know, sometimes like that jack of all trades energy, that's a big thing. And we got to keep in mind right now, we're dealing with so many immutable squares. We feel like it's required to be a jack of all trades, you know what I'm saying? And in a lot of ways, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing either, but you have to also keep in mind sometimes that be the very reason you're not making a certain amount of progress in one area is because you spread yourself too thin and you're too all over the place. You might not have a specific goal. You might not actually understand how all these things work. And sometimes you have to break it down and say, well, let me do one thing first. Once this is done, let me do the next thing. You might have to kind of revert your thinking back to like step by step. And that don't mean you have to do things in like some kind of linear way where it's like, okay, one thing after the other. But it is a matter of knowing how to prioritize things in a way in which you can say, okay, I'm giving the appropriate amount of time, energy, and money. If you know what I'm saying, just for lack of, you know, just that those three to me are like basically what we got to work with, right? Time, you know, time, energy. I mean, we could say attention and shit like that, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. But the point of it, time, energy, and money invested into certain things. It's like if you're not giving it the appropriate investment, that might also be the reason why you're not getting the proper compensation or enough to really work with. You know, you have to invest in something first. You know what I'm saying? Even, you know, no matter what, a lot of people are trying to get themselves to a 10th house space, aka, you know, it can look like being known and shit like that, but it's really about just being your business organized. It's really the 10th house in Capricorn energy. It's about systems, you know what I'm saying? So it's all about, you know, having a system. You know, shout out to Noor Maz. He said taking things into the best way to lead into a real jack of all trades, because you efficiently develop abilities for the stage in your life and build back pockets. Yeah, right, exactly. And that's the real way to do it. But see, and everybody, the problem, everybody in the way they think about jack of all trades, they try to do it in a lazy shortcut way. You know what I'm saying? And again, like he said, the step by step is how you actually develop each process and, you know, get the actual energy. Like you said, the back pocket energy, what that really is it's like there's people who got things and got to places but didn't actually do the work to get there. They lack back pocket energy. They didn't go through the experience and the ins and outs of what it even means to be in that space and what it takes to get there. The more context you have about that, which requires experience, that's how you're able to come up with creativity. It's almost like how they say, as an artist, the more you know about the rules and the craft itself, the more you're able to do with the canvas you're given. So it's kind of this, it's even the same in the sense of you know what I'm saying, like know the rules so you know how to break them. You know what I'm saying? They say that in film too. Like if you know the rules of film, then you know how to break them. At the same time, like, yeah, you can jump into it and just start making up stuff, and that works out for people too. But again, back to energy and just the awareness of what it took to get to that space and what that space is even made of. Again, going back to what I was saying, like the more aware of something you are, the more you have to the more you access of things you have to you're able to use in order to convey whatever's in your mind that no one's seen before. And see, the better you access that space, now you become more of an auteur instead of just a filmmaker. And by auteur, I mean somebody who from the, it's like the difference between a Fast and Furious movie and a Quentin Tarantino movie, where a Fast and Furious movie come on, you don't even care who directed this shit. You like, hey man, whatever. This is just a movie. It's action. It's shit blowing up. It's cool. It's done decent enough for me to go see it, but I probably won't remember it after I leave. Versus you go see a Tarantino or a Kubrick film by a director that's an auteur, and every choice that they make is intentional. So the effect of their movie, it lasts in your brain more. It's more of a quality experience from an entertainment point and a creator point. You know, it's more of a experience, and after the second you sit down, oh, this is a Tarantino film, or this is a such and such film. And as soon as you leave, you able to kind of, you think about it. You probably want to go see it again. It's something of quality, and that's another thing too about Earth energy. It's all about quality right now. And so you have to think things in terms of that aspect too. Is like, how can I provide more quality? It's like quality assurance. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, and when I say quality, I'm not even talking about something that you're producing. I mean, but you're producing life, you know what I'm saying? Or you're living life. It's your quality of life. So we have to kind of think in terms of that, like when it comes to routines and patterns, things that we trying to do and set up for ourselves. What's the quality of it? How much of my effort am I giving, and what is the result I'm getting back, and what's the quality of that result? Is my hard work or my focus, my attention producing to my life, manifesting situations that I can prosper in, that I can benefit from? Or am I putting too much time, effort, and getting things and results that's showing me I'm not doing enough, or I need to redirect what I'm doing or the area in which I'm focusing? It's all these different things need to be information we're taking in, able to convert to better decisions later on. You know what I'm saying? Now, the moon squaring Chiron, again, learning how to feel it and accept some of these mistakes and things like that. Like, okay, yeah, that's what it was, but I still have the power to decide what it's going to be next. So not getting too caught up in certain mistakes you made. When it comes to your spiritual path, getting more comfortable with just the fact that, yeah, I'm going to have to invest in this. I'm going to have to jump into this regardless of how I feel. And it's got a little bit of that Mars energy. And one thing we have to be understanding about I say Mars energy, but it's like Mars coming from Aries. One thing also we have to be aware of too. Got Neptune, right? Neptune's real close to Aries. It's in retrograde right now. So, but it's going direct, I believe, in November, if I'm not mistaken. One thing about the Neptune and Aries transit, we have to understand that this is the part where our dreams was in a comfortable space previously. But in this next kind of like age and era, a lot of what we're gonna have to do is be able to fight for these things that we believe in. And we're no longer in the age of Pisces, where everybody was more so concentrated on being on the collective, and it was more, I don't want to say more peaceful, but in a sense it was more people willing to just go along with somebody else's belief system. That's why everybody was heavily invested into it, right? Because it was like, I'm not going to ask too many questions. Today's age of Aquarius. So the thing about it is, right now a lot of things come down to intelligence, but that's what we see right now is a deficit of intelligence online and shit, where people are just talking about things out they ass, and you could tell, a lot of the pop culture shit that at one point nobody really questioned. Right now everything is being broken down to the very core to see aspect of it. That's why everybody's being canceled. That's why every brand is going through some kind of issue with, oh, this person was making, you know how cancel culture get. Oh, we can't wear this brand no more because they believe in hurting animals, or they believe in this. And you get very, we get these very strict morality challenges, which is ironic because a lot of the things that they're trying to be moral about aren't even things that's like people are self-righteous right now. It's like a lot of self-righteous energy. Everybody think, oh, I gotta be, just that kind of entitlement, or it's a bit of entitlement, but it's like a, y'all know what I'm saying. It's like a self-righteous, I know more than everybody else, I'm more intelligent than everybody else. Everybody's trying to use their intelligence to make themselves popular, you know what I'm saying, in the form of either going viral or just everybody think they are expert. Nobody can just listen to music and enjoy it no more. Everybody gotta critique it. The blog, there's people critiquing the blog of a song, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything is so mental right now, like heady and stuff like that. People voicing their opinions, everybody want to debate, everybody want to argue. So on a negative side, yeah, it could look very narcissistic in the sense of people trying to be popular for not wanting to be popular or something like that. But at the same time, it's a time where, like I was saying before, when it comes to this shift, and what we're going to see is a separation between the people who actually have intelligence about what they do, people who are actually well versed in articulate, are able to articulate their unique perspective and idea. These are the people who are going to flourish. People who can actually, they're not just in their feelings and trying to defend something that they haven't even invested their time and attention to. You're going to get a lot of people, the people who stand out are the people who are exhibiting one of a kind energy, right? Because even Uranus and Taurus being, making individuality so potent right now, it's like the most powerful resources. How authentic are you for real? That energy coupled with energies just explained, being in the age of Aquarius, it's like your investment into yourself, knowing who you are, becoming more one of a kind, and things that reflect that one of a kind energy, it automatically separates you from the pack. Because one thing about the Aquarius thing, and even how we moving into a time period where it's less about belief systems, right? Because that's how people was grouped previously. What religion are you? Or what do you believe in? Now it's more about what do you know and who do you know? Community, connections, associations. What are you associated with? And, what's your individual role within association? You know what I'm saying? Those things matter now more than ever. So again, this is all stuff that's like, hey, you have to really invest into that uniqueness and that one of a kind energy. And part of that is also, like I was just explaining, the Neptune going into Aries, because at some point Neptune's going to be in Aries, Pluto is going to be back in Aquarius. It's retrograde right now, so it's like at 0 degrees, but there's going to be a sextile between Pluto, wise transformation based upon belief systems, the tearing down of belief systems. Because remember, Aries is the tearing down of things. Aries is take. It's like Mars energy. Mars takes, Mars destroys. But Mars, it not destroying, no. That's just me simplifying it for the sake of just get the point. But Mars is about that destruction. So things that people, but in very simple terms, Neptune and Aries is going to be the destruction of traditional religion and things like that. And see, this is where the emergence of technology becomes very key, because we've been saying back since 2014, 2016, technology is going to be the new religion. And we already see that. I mean, down to the way that even children interact with the internet. And you got kids being 5 years old right now who know how to navigate a tablet with ease, way faster than your grandpa do, way faster than you probably do at some point. You know what I'm saying? When these kids become just 10 years old, 15 years old, these kids are going to be able to do things with technology that, again, even our generation can't fathom. You know what I'm saying? And I'm 29, so like millennials, you know what I'm saying, whatever those generations is, we eventually we're gonna be looking at, like, what the, like, how the hell did you do that? And see, we still young enough though to not get caught up in that trap though of trying to over reject new technology and shit like that. If you in your right mind at this time period right now, and you say you in your 30s, even your mid 20s, y'all still got a little more flexibility. But especially like, you approaching your 30s, or you're in your 40s and shit like that, you right now you need to be doing all you can to at least be familiar with some of these technologies, so you know the direction in which the world is going, because you don't want to make the same mistakes our parents did and our parents' did by completely rejecting these things, but then needing these things a couple years later, being completely lost and shit like that. Like all your aunties and uncles on Facebook and shit looking crazy, posting crazy shit that you like, yo, y'all not even understanding what this is for. Again, I'm not promoting technology use and shit like that. I mean, all I'm saying is that we got to understand that everything is a tool. So don't exclude yourself from something because you think you got some kind of moral correctness. Being morally world is foolish to it. Like, and when I say that, please differentiate between having real morals and trying to be morally correct, because those are two things. As an individual spirit, you got to up a level of morality for your own life. That's personal to you, right? What you believe is right, or a moral compass. But the world and society convinced a lot of people what's morally correct. And so you have the perpetuation of a certain set of systems that really was created just to keep you from playing the game how they play it, because they don't play it fair. So I think you have to uphold some kind of rule of morality. A lot of what you think is, again, that's why you walking around broke, and somebody who done shot, stabbed, and killed somebody is a millionaire living on the coast of Bali and shit like that, and having vacations and shit on a yacht. So that goes to show that it's not about that, you know what I'm saying? But as a spirit, you do have to develop a sense of morality, and that's you, though. That's your personal moral system. And that's how you operate life. That's how you go through life, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, you know, certain things like that you just have to be aware of. We live in a world that was created, so a lot of things you might think is a law or a rule is not universal law. It's not, it doesn't always have to be. And then you have to also understand how they created laws to understand how to navigate things. But again, that even goes on to the point I was just making about, you know, when it comes to knowing things, you know what I'm saying, you know, your awareness in general. The more you know, the more you're aware of, the more tools you have to work with. In order to know things, you have to either experience it or be able to put yourself in the spaces of these individuals or these things, you know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to getting back to the astrology, so when it comes to the moon being in Cancer, right, again, transitioning into Leo, we have a little bit more time. We have a little time to take advantage of this sextile, this opportunity with the sun. The sun is giving you the awareness of what's making you feel uncomfortable and insecure. So instead of succumbing to that and allowing that to tell you how you should feel, instead use this as an opportunity to start to direct your attention to things that need to be worked on, and inside out start developing better thoughts and feelings. It sounds real simple, but it's difficult. And how, like, to give you a clear idea of how to actually do that, it's like you have to put things in proper context. Everything comes down to your attitude. So when you're looking at something, if everything you see from it is negative, chances are your perspective, there's another perspective you could probably tap into that can give you a better way of seeing what might look at like a hindrance or a negative thing on the surface. But if you shift your perspective, there's ways in which maybe those negative things can be beneficial to you. And you have to be creative enough to get into that space. That's kind of like Virgo being on a higher octave of into Pisces energy, of understanding how to kind of be a little more creative about maybe what you can't see. And this starts to develop into having faith, because if you think about it, right, you might be going through a situation where you're flat broke, you don't have enough money, but let's say you're able to shift your perspective and say, you know what, but I still got some skills that's enough to trust and believe and have faith in the imagination of me potentially I'm using a bunch to say the same thing, but it's like that's another way for me to be able to have faith and believe that there's a possibility. That's really what I'm trying to say, that of either getting a job that can help me with my financial situation, or the possibility of me creating to make my creating something to make my situation better, basically. So that's where faith can lead, you know, that leads to faith, your shift. And then there's your attitude, you know, whether or not you trust that you can actually do that, whether or not you feel like you can actually do that, whether or not you actually believe you can achieve something different from what you see. You know, those two, like when you able to kind of redirect those two things, that can make a situation you looking at as completely negative look somewhat positive enough. And the purpose of this is to make you motivated, to keep you motivated on actually getting it done, to seeing it through. Because with proper connection to something, we're not going to care enough to through. And that's why a lot of people give up on their dreams or their goals and stuff like that, because they really don't believe that they're capable of doing it. Their perspective led them to having a certain attitude about it, as if it can't be done. And if you, and again, you only get what you deserve. So if you direct your inner space, that's what you get as a return on investment. And guess what? You'll never reach that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whereas if you was just to shift things a little bit, again, it might not even come in the way you expect it to come. That's the thing. You got to really patience, but that's why it's important to not cling to no outcome. But if you allow yourself enough space to look at it from a different angle, it's like you can, it's possible and potential there, and all possibilities exist. So it's like possibility in which, yeah, you can make that work. But again, if you don't feel and believe that you can do something and have faith in it, it's almost impossible to develop a commitment towards it. And without a commitment, you're not going to be consistent enough to actually see it through. And that's my whole point. And that's kind of even how, it goes further than Pisces and Virgo. But I mean, that's a good relationship to understand a lot of what I'm talking about when it comes to faith in reality, or faith in the actual mundane, the magical and the mundane. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Fast. Man, I always fuck up your name, bro. Shout out to Fast. Yeah. So, that's just understanding that access entirely. It's like, in life and shit like that. And in particular now, we got Virgo opposite Saturn. We got Sun opposite Saturn. So, but I don't see this as a bad opposition. I see it as a respectful one. There's a respectful relationship between the Sun and Saturn, where Saturn knows how to listen to, the Sun knows how to listen to Saturn, and Saturn can acknowledge Sun's effort if it's placed in the proper area. So right now, it's like the Saturn, the older energy, the mentor energy, the guru energy is in Pisces. So that dream and that idea, trying to give you advice as far as the Sun's perspective on what to act on in order to reach that goal. And it looks like an opposition. It looks like something that's going to require work, which is true. But again, the reward is the balance that's created, right? But we know how Saturn get down. Saturn can't reward without seeing and witnessing the effort. And Saturn is not comforting. Saturn doesn't deal with comforting. Saturn deals with just telling you what the requirements are. So when let's say you've been planting good seeds, you're on a more favorable side of energy. You've already been doing things that give Saturn the actual authority over saying, okay, yeah, this dream, and you're deciding for yourself in real time. But it plays out like you planting good seeds plays out in kind of like this conversation going on in your own way, right? Depending on what you're dealing with and how you talk to God and your connection to God. But it's a conversation that goes a little bit something like this, right? Just the energy influencing with Saturn opposite the Sun, Saturn and Pisces opposite the Sun and Virgo. It's a conversation like, all right, this dream is substantial. You actually have the means to make this work. But in order for this to work, you got to commit to X, Y, and Z. In the Sun's perspective, it's like, okay, that means I have to take serious a routine pattern and some kind of and be consistent in some kind of area that relates to what I know my dream requires in order to be realistic, right? Now that relationship in and of itself, remember, Saturn in retrograde, it's all been this whole summer has been a testament in you coming to grips with the idea of, okay, instead of dreaming and trying to escape my reality, I have to figure out how to ground myself enough to build that reality in my present moment. What's up, dude? Niggas just be looking in your car like, the fuck? But you have to commit to the development of, you have to commit to that. It's like a form of discipline, right? So it's like being disciplined enough to say, I'm going to ground myself in what I'm doing in order to make my reality look like how I dream it to be, versus the lower octave attitude and perspective, which looks like, man, my reality is rough and all the things I need to get my dreams done, I'm just going to take the quick fix, the shortcut, and experience pleasure and escape what I might need to do as a responsibility. So the escapism route or the manifestation magical route, where I'm going to create my dream right here in reality, right? So one of them, that's the more favorable side, and the less favorable is going to look like choosing the escapism, because that's you running to the body. That's you doing things really based off fear and lack of faith, because you don't believe that shit to be real. So you're going to run to the first thing that's going to give you the illusion of that satisfaction. But again, that's short-lived. When you look for external things to soothe your spirit, you always going to be let down, because it's always going to drain up. And then the thing about it is, when you're using the body to try to soothe what the spirit needs, put yourself in situations where you create hell for yourself, because you create a dependency on something physical, when the spirit, the whole thing that keeps the spirit fulfilled, and the whole thing about your spirit is that it's supposed to be beyond all this shit. It's supposed to be eternal, beyond the external, you know what I'm saying, beyond the physical. So if you tie something that makes the spirit think it feels good through the body, it's like you're confusing, you're tricking your spirit into belongs with that physical thing. And anytime the spirit is attached to something, it becomes irritable. And this is why this is why you become depressed and shit like that. When you realize, oh shit, I'm addicted to something, or I'm attached to something, that's your spirit. Spirit is in hell, because your spirit can't escape all of it. And then again, the spirit just likes to change. But if you get hooked on some in the physical, whether it be it can literally be an emotion you're addicted to, or a thought. If your spirit feels too attached to that, it can't change as fluidly as it would like. So this is why you become irritable, depressed, because your spirit feels that way. Versus when you come up with better solutions, better habits that keep you from being too attached to anything in the physical world, you put your spirit in a space to be free. So you become a positive person, where it don't matter where you go or where you at, you always have the ability to change. That becomes your power in all the sense, especially down here. Because think about, the one thing you can't do in the physical is do what a spirit do, which is to be able to detach and change and completely switch course. Down here, everything is about attachment and growth and this, that, the third, history, and so why would you sacrifice what your superpower is just for something that it's like the one thing that nothing in this physical reality can do, is to have the expansion that a spirit can, and the ability to change the way it does? Why would you sacrifice that and lose the one thing you was gifted? It's almost like if again, world, there's no human with wings that can fly, but here you are, an angel on earth who has the ability to fly. Why the fuck would you clip your wings? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you clip your wings? The one thing that made you special, one of a kind, you clipped it. And that's kind of a metaphor for, you know, your being yourself. You know, why would you stop being yourself for the sake of other humans around you who may have an opinion, which doesn't affect you unless you let it, unless you allow it. So it's like, and see, society, they give you the clippers based upon the desire, shit like that, and things you're able to easily get distracted by. They give you the clippers. And that's the way they keep their hands clean. You know what I'm saying? They keep their hands clean because they gave you the clippers. So if you clip your own wings, it's on you. And they look at it like, hey, that person decided to throw their life away for money. We just created this because this is a system. But hey, you're the one in it. You're the one who took that dollar bill and thought it could buy your way into heaven. Like, it's your fault. You the one that got hooked onto that drug because you couldn't deal with the stress of the system in place. But that's your fault still, because we gave you the clippers. And again, they look at it like, you still got the choice to not do it or come up with a good enough idea like we did in order to get ahead. And that's when the world gets cold. Again, you understand life ain't fair, but when you real, you understand how it go. Life ain't fair, but real recognize real. It's like, it just is. And again, some things is fucked up. And that's why, again, you're killing yourself if you think you're going to go into the world and be morally correct and also feel like, because I'm morally correct, I should get all the world. I'm like, the accolades you trying to get was built by people who made those rules up. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Shout out to Platinum Pedro. I think it's Pedro. He said they all imposters, right? You know what I'm saying? He said, exactly. Yeah, they gonna pay for that shit. And their punishment is this what they made, you know what I'm saying? And we see kind of like is shit crumbling, shit looks stressful, you know what I'm saying? Like we see that shit. Those who see, you know what I'm saying? You see eyes to hear type stuff, you know, type vibes, y'all know. We see it. And that's why, again, you don't, that's the gift too. We don't have to abide by that shit. And that's why even in this next phase is actually one of the best times to be a spirit right now who's aware. If you a spirit that's unaware right now, very tough for you, because you're not even going to be able to see the nuance and things, you know what I'm saying? But right now, more than ever, we have actual access and tools that can help us connect and create the thing that, because it's the beginning of an era. So we in that very beginning stage of the age of Aquarius, where again, if we stick to our guns and we connect and communicate and create those communities that we need to, and develop systems from that actually work for us and just work in general, we chances are will be much further ahead in the time comings as new technology makes it cool for people to do that on a ground level. This is the last, you got to understand, like how everybody be talking about, even in the last 4 years, you know, everything post 2021, everything pre 2020 was like a life, that a world that we'll never get back. Everything post 2021 now, it's like we actually in a space where we in the very beginning stages of what's about to become the next, what do you call it? I mean, like, it's about to become the next wave of society, or the next, you know, where there's going to be things, the things that are rumored to be a thing now are going to become things that are that we're not only well aware of, but are creating restrictions in our life. Just like how in the next coming years, there's going to be hella restrictions based upon, like, we even see a lot of conversation about one thing I noticed the news is talking about a lot right now is immigrant crime. And we know that whenever the government is making, you know, the broadcasting is something that they want you to think about, and the way they're talking about it is how they want you to think about it. So they want you to think that immigrants are an issue and a problem, a threat, right? And they're used to get people invested into election, because based upon what whoever people are reacting and respond to better, that's going to be who they're going to set up to become the president and figurehead of whatever they're trying to direct things into. And when we go through Democrat times, we know that it's going to be a lot of more on the emotion. It's going to be more on the emotional end, and more on kind of being more it's kind of like internal affairs. You got to think of that like internal affairs, in the sense of trying to do things internally to be more comfortable, and they, you know, kind of staying away from, remember, like all the Democrat ideology, which is like kind of like, y'all know, it's like social justice and shit like that, like those kind of vibes, and doing stuff regarding identity on an emotional level, who we are, shit like that. And then there's the Republican energy ideology, which is the choice to go about things in much more of a brute force, all about the money, practical, you know, we're gonna structure this, we're gonna set up our armies, we're gonna do this. So you can see, like, these are the two things, the two ways they trying to go about things, right? Where the focus is going to be more so on relations versus more so systems of strict, you know what I'm saying, things that look like the potential of martial law, extreme kind of things to prevent, you know what I'm saying, very, very squared out ideology versus very round ideology, if y'all catch what I'm saying. So right now we know that, so right, you know, like I said, they talking about immigrant shit, immigrant threats, and it's interesting because they basically just gonna sit back and see how individuals are reacting to decide on whether, you know, say whether whoever they got in place is gonna have the right things to say that make the people comfortable, and that comfortability that they give off is gonna be where how they direct the vote, even though they already chose. You know, it's like they already chose, but at the same time, it's like you with a plan, right? You can choose something, but still be thinking like, well, if things change though, we know how to switch it up. It's not ever just like, oh, we're gonna choose this figure regardless. But at the same time, you know, based upon what they trying to do, they could flip it like that. But that don't even fucking matter, because what matters is understanding that what's like Fast just said, new systems. And these new systems, what are they going to come with? New laws. And new laws are, it looked like a restriction area, but it's really allowing them to have access to a certain part of you in another area. So things you think you're trying to get a law passed to protect you because it restricts something from the common person to be able to do, chances are it's allowing them more damage on the back end. So it's like you voted for your demise, basically. That's how they set y'all up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all end up fucking voting for your demise. Y'all pray. It's like, I used to pray for times like this to be enslaved. Like, y'all, come on. Shit. I used to pray for times like this to rob like this, slave like this. Like, people be crazy as fuck doing all kinds of stuff, like not understanding their investment in the system is the reason why the system is abusing you, why you can't seem to get no footing in the world and shit like that, why it seem like you can't seem get your 1-2s together because this, that, and the third is going down, it's breaking down. And again, you just too reliant on the system. That's why the only solution, people who are aware like us, is to say, okay, we need to first of all be the best versions of ourselves we can be, right? And that's where the spirituality comes in, because in the age of Aquarius, it's kind of, it's a beautiful thing in and of itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, life is, like, don't forget, life is beautiful if you're looking at it the right way, right? So it's like, in and of itself, it's like, and this is a time to really honor your individuality in the sense of, yeah, like, get to that one of a kind, be yourself. Like, really, there's never been a better time to be yourself. It was very difficult to be yourself. In the age of Pisces, being yourself, if that didn't align with the morality and belief system of whoever your surroundings, your collective was praying to, then you was ostracized, you was banished, you was exiled. That's why a lot of people who experienced that during the age of Pisces are coming back and able to prosper now, because people understand, oh, that's why you wasn't invested in that religion, that's why you wasn't caught up in this belief system, that's how you made a lot of money, because you didn't believe these things and have this kind of weird sense of morality. Like, I seen a really good quote, I forget by who, but it was talking about, you know, the difference between spirituality and religion. Like, when you're never born, every spirit is born connected to spirit, but religion is always something you have to learn, which means that religion is tied to the physical realm in all senses of the way. So that gives you a clear understanding that, you know what I'm saying, the difference between the two. You know what I'm saying? Like, when everybody has spirituality, everybody can connect, but religion immediately separates you, and it's something tied to the physical realm. You had to learn that. You didn't know that as a baby. You didn't know Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? But you knew spirit. And so it's like your spirituality, the difference between, you know, the quote said it better. I'll find it and probably make it a community post or something like that. But the point of it all, y'all get what I'm saying. I don't even have to keep on going with that. Y'all get it. But right now it's a beautiful time, because that Aquarius energy is giving, it being the age of Aquarius, is allowing individuality to flourish. So again, the more connected you are to your spirit, and the more you're willing to be yourself and commit to that, the more you kind of get out of your situation right now. You know what I'm saying? The more you're, it's like, it's just a time right now that actually can reward that. And see, the better you become, not only do you, it's like naturally you'll be able to be around others who's on that same vibe. And that's where real things can be built, because it's like the equivalent of having healthy friends around you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got the right healthy friends around you, if you got 5 people around you and everybody is on drugs and hooked up, strung out, what y'all really gonna build? Nothing. In fact, if you the one that got the strength, being around them all day is gonna weaken you, versus you surrounding yourself by others who are like you, who are strong and sturdy. Guess what y'all can build? Y'all can build something substantial in a relatively short amount of time, but not even getting into the length of time. It's just y'all able to build on stuff. You know what I'm saying? Y'all able to build more efficiently, more effectively, and the system itself is healthier. A community is made up of individuals. So if those individuals are strong in and of themselves and intelligent, the community is strong and intelligent. If you got a community of bozos, guess what? That's what they're gonna produce. He said, how we doing today, everybody? And we're starting to feel personal power, huh? Yeah, a little bit. You know what I'm saying? How the right people, it's that time, duh. Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly it. It's like, you know, and shout out to Free. She got the quote. It say every single one of us is a natural spirit. Spirituality is innate with its own neural correlates and its genetic markers. Religion is 100% environmentally transmitted. Shout out to Free with the clutch definition, the clutch quote, because that's true. Again, down to when they say neural correlates, this is like, as when you watch a child, the child's ability to imagine and to pull things from us can't see, that all is spiritual. The child being, you can tell that child's visual, no matter what structure you got, thinking as, oh, I'm the parent and this how the house gonna go. The kid's still gonna be that kid. That is what spirituality is. The way kids dance and care who watching and shit like that. It's not until they become old enough to understand the way everything is constructed that they mold themselves into be, you know, some of them are able to flourish through that through and through. And see, as parents, we have to cultivate that space for them to be able to do that. Others, especially past generations, what we see is they was forced to be whatever their parents wanted them to be. They kind of dampened their who they are for the sake of just trying to fit in society and do what they think is appropriate and make this person happy and make that person happy, which is a form of hell and stuff like that. But that's kind of a different conversation. But again, religion is everything you would learn by the time, but you can't even learn religion until you can learn the language. So it's all created environmentally, fabricated. Like, so you see the limits between it. Spirit, infinite. Any religion, very finite, very, very limited, very closed off, smaller, you know what I'm saying? And all that stuff. So, you know, it gets very deep. But again, the community is made up of individuals. So the first thing is about, you know, being yourself, to being the best you can be, which looks like, again, that's not even you trying to be happy all the time. A lot of the rhetoric I see, especially on social media, is this idea that, you know, it's like a very narcissistic attitude, because everybody is basking in that individuality, but a lot of it comes as others should always make me feel good, and that you know, if someone comes around and they make you feel like system is deregulated, that means that, you know, they're the demon and they need to go away and you should just be, you know, separate from all things. And see, I see a lot of promotion, kind of this it's like a distorted way to kind of go about or a lower octave way, I'll say, to go about Aquarius energy, where you're presenting yourself as holier than thou and trying to create this separation, but it's doing it in a way very superficial. It's doing it in a way that's very more so classist or related to race, in a sense. Might not be straight up race related, but everything that people are correlating things is based upon separation of class in one way or another, where, oh, because I'm more knowledgeable about this, I'm more superior. And that's kind of like the way people are presenting information in the common world, you know what I'm saying? Like people who, again, just kind of going off of the vibes, not really understanding what they as an individual are trying to do. So they're just kind of, you know, it's like the sheep mind thing to do right now. That's why you got everybody, nobody sees outside of the frame of fame, which is, we should know fame is not necessary to have a good life, or not even to be spiritual, you know what I'm saying? A lot of, even down to spiritual practitioners, you know, everything seems, especially like pop culture, astrology and things like that, everybody, it seems like the whole motivation behind everybody's shit, they tie it in with a need or necessity to be famous or to be known. Some of the most powerful things are done when no camera is even available, or, you know what I'm saying, like life goes on outside of content that we see online. And that's one of the, I can't even call it a psyop, because it's more like there's psyops that's designed, right? But then there's natural reactions based upon what's already at play. And that's kind of what I see is more of a natural reaction. It's an unnatural, natural reaction. It's like a cause and effect of the way society is structured, and you know what I'm saying, how things have been, to where now in the age of social media, it's like people have this idea that, you know, sooner or later it's going to get to a point where people are going to less and less believe reality. They're going to more so just trust what they see online as content. If it didn't happen online, if you didn't post it, it didn't happen. And, you know, people lose touch of real life because so much of life is like, it's impossible. Like the idea of a 24-hour stream, right? If you think about it, like, you can go about your life like that, but like, think about how ridiculous that is for real. To imagine like your whole day is, the second you wake up, you hit let's go live and you stream yourself the whole day. Like, now creators have done it, but y'all kind of see what I'm going with that. Like, it's like, that's a crazy, it's like, if you think, because see, that gives the impression that, because a kid, a younger kid, right, might watch that shit, spend his whole, like, you know, might not watch it at one time, but let's just imagine a kid with time on his hand. He got a whole day to himself or herself. Let me tune into this creator and watch them stream they whole 24 hours. You got somebody who's believing that, like, oh, well, a person can actually stream their whole day. It creates this kind of subconscious idea that, like, what I see on social media, I need, like, because the first thing a kid gonna do, especially if the street cool shit is saying, I want to do the same thing. I wanna do. I see this streamer doing. So already off the bat, they thinking that their life is either inadequate, or they're looking at their life. Especially as a kid, they're dreaming and desiring the life of somebody else, lifestyle of somebody else. Like, oh, I strive to want to do this. Now, again, everybody's different, so a kid can come up to a good conclusion perspective of saying, okay, yeah, I'm a find my unique way to do that. And again, this is where parental guidance is so key, because only a parent could probably, a parent can better guide a child on how to get to where they want to go. Shout out to Jackie New. A parent, that's like role of, like, that's kind of the, I don't want to say the new role of a parent, but that because it's always been a role of a parent, but especially in today's time, being a present parent is more so just understanding your kids' ideas and visions and dreams in that sense. Okay, well, where are you trying to take things? Like, because parents, especially us, we are aware of how the world works, and we understand a little bit more about the pitfalls that a spirit in general can fall into based upon, all right, we know that kid gonna have a desire, because we all got a desire. So part of it, you know, you kind of want to know where your kid's desire is at, and you have to be mindful, because in today's age, see, back then, before we had social media, like, it wasn't, your kid's desire was more so it was more so constructed upon the environment and what they was watching on TV. So that could look like celebrity lifestyles, but the first time ever we can have our kids watching somebody their age in their room streaming 24 hours, living a completely different lifestyle as a kid. So when you was a kid, you watch Jay-Z online on TV, you was like, oh, Jay-Z's in a commercial, Jay-Z's a rapper, oh, that shit sound cool. You listen to the music, but you couldn't go to your day-to-day and see what Jay-Z was doing. And Jay-Z was 3 times your age. Now you could look, oh, I'm gonna watch Casanet, somebody who's my age, and this dude is on a plane to Japan. He jumping off a cliff in Jamaica. He doing this. I should be doing that. Like, again, like, you know what I'm saying? Your kids, and see, kids be so susceptible to that idea. Y'all know, again, older generations was music videos and thinking life could really be like that. Oh yeah, I want to go to the club because the club looked just like, so we can only imagine what a kid's imagination watching another kid do that seems crazy can do to their psyche. And, you know, again, it's stuff that, instead of being fearful about it, we have to engage it and face it, and just say this is a potential reality. And all you can really do is be present, because see, one thing about it I've noticed, you have to be proactive with shifts. A lot of mistakes made is when people stick too hard to don't want to change, and what they're right, Freeze like so depressed by 14, because all they're watching is people who their age doing stuff that, again, they could maybe it's almost like when you watch something in like you see TV, it's almost like robs a kid of the imagination and potential of being able to do it one day. Like when you was a kid and you seen you was like, yeah, even if you watch the kid celebrity, one day I'm gonna be famous, one day I'm gonna be like this individual, I'm gonna do like this. When you watching a kid who kind of look like he's just like you in your situation, today's kids kind of feel like more so robbed. Like, damn, I'm stuck going to school, this person my age in Dubai. And then you got, y'all know how kids get too. Kids get, they start to, some of them come up with the idea to fabricate and lie for the sake of put it on the trail. Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? So the kids be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And they might even have parents with a little bit of money. So they actually arching it to go on certain trips and do certain things to make it seem like their life really is like that. But y'all know how kids get. Kids exaggerate and they want to impress each other because they care about shit. Because as a kid, in school, that's how school is set up. It's like at a certain point, you want to be the coolest kid or part of the cool kids or part of the, kids who, y'all know. So, that's a big thing. Kids being depressed, and again, really not. It's like they getting robbed of their ability to dream a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like if they still dream, but they get robbed of the idea or the understanding that there's a process involved and I can build up eventually. That's why, like, at the end of the day, the only thing you really could do with your kids is just kind of have that relationship where they can talk to you. Because if you don't know what's going on kind of like in their head, the only way you can know what's going on in your kid's head is if y'all having conversations and if you can communicate. It goes that way with anybody. You can't know what's in somebody's head without having that conversation, communicating back and forth, and also sharing what you know. Because again, even in parent mode, and even in relationships too, like whoever you're relating to, it's like if you're too much in your, like in the age of Aquarius, I'm saying like everybody wants to feel like they know everything. It's like if you're not so being open and sharing what you know in order to add on to the conversation, then you still miss out on communication too. So it's like you might be in parent mode and be like, well, I'm always teaching this kid something. Or no, you have to actually be an active listener too and engage them with questions you might even have, and again, be a responsible adult. But at the same time, the relationship flourishes when you're able to kind of still actually actively and participate in the conversation in a way that's more, not just come from a place of authority or I know this. And that goes for Aquarius in general too, because even how we're engaging with each other, like how I was saying online, like you can't approach everything like, oh, I know it all and I'm superior because I think I have a better perspective than everybody else. It's like that's how you get that's how you isolate yourself. That's lower octave Aquarius energy. You isolate yourself. You've exiled yourself, and you trying to be popular for being rejected. Like how it was cool. Yeah, oh, I'm so you know what I'm saying. Like when people like, oh, I'm a loner and shit like that. I'm a loner. I'm everything I do. Like people who kind of like. It's like that Aquarius shit more so, like the trend in back in high school when it was like it was cool to be the loner and shit, but that's kind of like taking that Aquarius energy, but Aquarius wanting to be Leo low-key, so Aquarius trying to be so alone and so isolated and so distant and shit like that, so nonchalant. Like you like, oh, I'm nonchalant, but you really care so badly of somebody noticing that you nonchalant. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, so that's an age of Aquarius trope just in general, of people being more so feeling like they're more mentally superior based upon what they know and what they think and how they how they want to argue with certain stuff. Don't just be different to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? And see, but getting back to just the conversation with kids to wrap that up, it's just about guidance, because that's the age we in. And see, going back into even government systems and new systems being put in place, we're going into a time like there, along with the stuff, There's also a lot of conversations about technology in terms of keeping kids safe online. So, and that's important, but that's going to come with a lot of restrictions to the abilities that we have to communicate right now. The way we able to, tap into each other and do what we want to do online. That's gonna create a big difference in the algorithm, how it works. So being aware that if you're a content creator, even if you're not making money maybe through your content, how you connect with your community, because that's where that's where the money is. But when I say money, I don't mean like people look at their community as profit, but for those of us who doing other things like actually building with our community, that's also another thing too. Money as a kind of metaphor for the exchange of resources and being able to put money together and invest in certain things, you know what I'm saying, or do things to get going to be affected in a way. So we have to be aware of new restrictions regarding that. We have AI. Now AI is a tool that we need to be familiar with, because AI is being used in ways that, if aware of, AI is being used all the way down to, I was talking about that Instagram option, where on Instagram, there's something you could do is create an AI character, which is kind of creating a chat bot that's based upon your post and how you think and how you talk, based upon what they gathered as information. They're going to say, oh, we can come up with an idea of what you would say. So, you know how like people used to talk about cloning? In the movies, it might have looked one way, but in reality, it'd be the same shit. It just looked very different. AI is starting to give me clone vibes, where if you think about it, it's all of us are inputting tons and tons of information about our mannerisms, how we communicate, our differences in our tones, and all these different things. And we're constantly tweeting all day our thoughts and the way we think. It's not so wild to say that all of that information, along with your face recognition and even stuff that really high key it can't even prevent, because we already going live, we already doing things. And a lot of ways we got to use these systems in order to do what we need to do in an effective way, right? To connect and spread messages and, build with each other. It's not so wild to say that that's information that could be converted into again, not only an AI, but what is an AI? AI is like the mind, if you will. And then the next phase would just be, again, they can clone you making a phone call. They can clone you, in a sense, making a FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? With the, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and then, you know what I'm saying? We know about robots and technology and shit like that. So it's like, who's to say that these things can't be converted into, and I'm not trying to be on my Terminator shit, because shout out to the Hang Empress, because she made a post about like just that type of mentality that older generations have of like Terminator ideas of being like, hey, this shit is kind of wild, like this shit going too far. But at the same time, and again, I'm not even speaking of it from movie magic perspective, but I'm saying in real time, this is why when it even comes to community, the days that we're so comfortable FaceTiming each other and talking online, that shit it's like at a certain point, it's going to be so easy to fabricate a conversation, so easy to do certain things that, make it like the things we comfortable, like imagine if y'all watch live thinking y'all talking to me, and this a whole AI. Like what if it was a whole facial recognition, and they got it's just like certain things like this that we so comfortable gonna be like, it's wild. And that's even, like I'm saying, like technology being the new religion, because in a sense, even how like we talk about things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, on the money, it says in God we trust. So if the money shifts to being digital, we one step away from in technology we trust. You know what I'm saying? He said we could tell because Dave beyond TV, you too real to be AI. Real shit. Real appreciate you. Real talk. And that's the thing. That's why, and that's why I said the best thing we can do is be the best version of ourselves, because back to that one of a kind Uranus and Taurus being the most powerful resources, being your individuality and how authentic you are. Because they cannot copy one of a kind energy. And see, the thing about the shadow government, if there's one pattern that gives them away every time. One thing that they always have to do, it's that. And the reason they do that can only be because the one thing that they do is always try to copy. And the reason they do that can only come, it's only one conclusion as to why they would come. There's only one pathway as to why they would come to that conclusion. And it's because they don't know how to do it themselves. So if you think of the relationship between a gold mine and a cobalt mine can only take and replicate. They cannot produce. That's why everything in this world system is designed as consumption and the collection of data. Because if they and that's why, like, every website you go to, everything you log into, we got to know your name, we got to know this, we got to log your information, we get all that, That's how the government be. Anything you be trying to do, we need your social, we need this, we need that, because we need to know who is producing you finna produce, because we cannot produce it ourselves. Like, think about it in your actual life. You know how to do something yourself. You ain't checking for nobody. You don't need information. You just do it, whether people around you or not. When you don't know how to do something, you have no frame of reference. You have to consume. You got to get all the details. You got to get all this, and that's how they operate. So that's what gives them away every time. They cannot do things on their own. They don't know what originality is. That's why everything in Hollywood or anything that's sanctioned, right, allowed to be done on some kind of large production scale, is always a rehash. It's a rehash of another person's idea. It's a remix to something, or it's a sequel. Hollywood sequel, music, a remix, or a sample from a popular song. Like, every industry head will say, well, your single should probably be a sample of a popular song that came out at a time that was real hot. So every song you get is a remix of some old school shit. Same thing with I forgot the last thing I said, but everything is a rehash. TV shows and shit like that, it's a rehash. We did this before. Books and stuff, oh yeah, we done did this before, until they find a brand new idea, and then the first thing they do is say, oh shit, okay, we need to either control that, or we need to get somebody quick who can copy, who's down to do what we needed to do. They do it with artists all the time. Well, you'll see an artist fall off, and they fall off, chances are they fell off the second they said no to something. All of a sudden, there's somebody who do the same thing that they do, debatably worse, but for some reason is way more popular. It's kind of, it's high key a crazy game, you know what I'm saying, when you think about how they're moving about shit. But at the same time, like, we ain't phased by that. Like, that's why I said the key is just being the best version of yourself, because they can't replicate one of a kind energy. Because see, one thing about being one of a kind, and one thing about being a gold mine, like I said before, we are the producers, we are the creators. So you can't tie us down. You can no box or category, because we always gonna be able to do what I fucking said in the beginning: change as a spirit. You can't track me. You can't box me in. I'm going to change on you. I'm a spirit. I'm infinite. I could be all possibilities. That's what it's about. Why would you clip your wings? Why would you clip your wings? The one thing you can do that they can't do, that makes you, set you apart. Why would you clip your wings? But see, they make it difficult for you to still, like, to keep them, because again, they're giving you clippers. They're saying, you know, life would be easier if you just clip that wing. How about just you take a feather off? You know what I'm saying? Every couple months, just take a feather off. Spend time here, spend time doing that. And it seems like, oh man, I got to do all this shit just to get my life together. But it's like, that's why we have to do what we can to stay motivated and stay pursuing our purpose and shit like that. Because without a purpose, you're gonna clip your wings. Because the purpose is, it's almost like, if you think about it, right? The shadow government constantly giving you clippers to clip your wings. But when you have a purpose, it's like a reason to have wings in the first place. So like, that's what serves in your life, having a mission or something, even if it sounds ridiculous and it sounds foolish to others and people look at you weird. No, people should look at you weird, because your purpose, it don't gotta be something that looks unattainable. Because again, I'm not talking about insatiable goals where you'll never be able to achieve that. But your purpose is supposed to be that it transcends the physical, and it gives you enough it gives you that reason to get up in the bed in the morning other than physical. It's like it's the thing that pushes and motivates you beyond to go further, to expand. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's the reason why you got wings in the first place. And this is why a person who is connected to their purpose, no matter how many times they're offered those clippers, will never clip their wings. Because they know, I got to be myself in order to do what I'm here to do. And that purpose, it ain't got to look like something, again, it's not tied into fame. It's not tied into being popular. It's just doing what you doing. You know what I'm saying? You said, what are we doing with our spirituality? Not just being spiritual. You know, what we're doing with our spirituality, we're being more of ourselves. We're being more one of a kind. So that's the spirituality is what's helping you see things further than this realm. You know, your connection to spirituality is it's like something that you carry with you. This realm is like something we're passing through. It's an experience we're going through, and you're having a human experience through it. But you're having a human experience because your spirit it chose a body. It needs a body here in order to have it. But see, that's the thing. That's why, like, your body will be attracted to certain things, and if you get too tied into your body, you lose a sense of what your spirit is going. And so it's almost like your spirit was on a pathway, but then it's like, oh, it got distracted. So instead of keep on going in life, passing through life in a way that keeps you light and to do what you do, it's like you get distracted, you get tied down if you stay too long, and you forget. That's why, again, people who've been here for so long, it's like you've been, and now it's like you finally either remembering, and you like, oh shit, I gotta keep it moving. I gotta detach myself. But it takes time, because like I think I was talking about this last night, when you're making any kind of change in your life with the resistance, and that resistance is everything you manifested, or everything coming back to you from when you was making decisions and actions from that previous mind state, or from that previous space. Because it's like, there's no such thing as you just completely avoiding things. It's like, you know, you can't run away from the past. Just because you changed your name and moved away, your past is still existing in a certain area. You know what I'm saying? So, and in order to do that, you have to kind of address those things, like, or be willing to face the resistance. So the resistance can come from people bringing up stuff from it, can come from people from it addressing with you, you know, getting back with you and saying like, what happened with this, or something like that. And again, these conversations can happen with those people, but even sometimes it's a way perspective shift for you. Perspective shift and an attitude shift, where you no longer are affected by when these things come back up. You're looking at these things as, I did what I did, I'm done with that, you know. And it's like, but again, it's like let's say you're known in your city for jacking cars. There's going to come a point where, again, eventually you might turn your life around. You say, you know, I don't want to do that no more. I'm a businessman. So now you're trying to do business in that same city. Or even if you move cities, right? You might have somebody from your past, or just something that ends up happening that it's like somebody's judging you for beef because you used to jack cars. That was actions, energy you put out into the world from a previous mind state. So what happens is you might have to deal with, you broke for a few years because your reputation is what it is. And if you're in a new city, that energy still on you. You put that into the world. So that's in a sense what becomes karma. It's not no specific thing. You can't send karma to nobody, and you can't judge somebody else's karma. But it's like, that's exactly what it is. It's like you deal with having to work through that energy and get it off you. And then at a certain point, though, if you stay consistent and persistent, right? Shout out to Free, she said transition. Right, if you stay consistent during that transition with the resistance and it, but your attitude about it can't be, the more you get frustrated in that space, the more you're probably gonna end up being more reactive. And when you're too much in your reactions, it brings you back to old stuff. And so you can start to say, at a certain point, let's say you go in a few years, it's like, damn, I can't get no clients and shit. I'm not saying be irresponsible. You still have to have discernment. But again, everything in life comes down to choices. You might make the choice to say, man, this ain't working for me. Fuck it. I'm just gonna kind of go back to my old ways. I might not be, but I'm gonna try to flip cell phones. I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to do that, just because I feel like I ain't moving forward. It's like, you made a decision that's taking you right back to that space. So it's like, that's why it seemed like people in the world, because it's like, that's a very, it's hard. It's hard to make that transition. So, but again, that's one person's choice. Another, in that same instant, a individual in that circumstance could say, you know, this business is not working. You know what? I might not be able to do this yet. I'm gonna choose to maybe just get a regular job, get a regular 9 to 5, or do something in this new space. And that is when you feel real uncomfortable. You don't really know. You're like, you might not even want to do it, but right. And she said you just retrograded. Exactly. You retrograde, relapsed. You went, and that's what the body does. That's everything in this third dimensional realm. And that's why the more you reactive and doing stuff, because, oh, I just feel like that right there is 9 times out of 10 why people don't change, because it's so easy to fall back into that feeling. You in that feeling, you in that body. And then once you in that body again, boom, you go right back. But like I was saying, a person who will simply make the transition into a new self, a new space, is the individual who says, I'm gonna destroy that pre-mentality to the point where I'm willing to jump into a completely unknown space. Again, you know what? I feel like I could probably just jack a car. I probably just flip this and get my money back. But you know what? No, I've changed. I'm not that no more. Even though times is hard right now and I can't do what I want to do, I'm going to sacrifice what feels comfortable for the sake of jumping into a whole new space. I'm gonna get this 9 to 5 and I'm gonna figure it out. And then sure enough, your ability to jump into a new space and kind of deal with the resistance, deal with all of those previous thoughts, previous people might even saying, damn, bro, I thought you was gonna be a millionaire, man. This, you used to flip that. How the hell you working at Burger King? Like, you know, you got to deal with all that shit, talking shit, you thinking to yourself every day, you getting up at that job like, what the fuck am I doing? Am I ever gonna get a chance to do my business? But if you keep persisting on it, you're gonna clear that karmic debt. You're gonna begin a new space. You're gonna have news. And then the beauty of it, like Nora My Eyes was saying in the beginning, you're gonna develop all the skills that like you're gonna develop whole new abilities and skills that actually gonna make it make sense for you to then take that back to what you're actually trying to do. And then all of a sudden, this is how you turn your situation. This is how you turn your life around for real. But it becomes highly difficult because, again, so many things factor into this. And because especially if you especially if you're around individuals who knew you from back then, because they're constantly going to be in your ear reminding you of previous mentalities, previous this, that, and the third. It goes for a lot of things, even relationships. You might, you know what I'm saying, like mistakes. It's like it constantly is going to bring you right back, but it's your responsibility as either the spirit is changed to understand, like, hey, that's your karma to bear. That's your cross to bear in a sense. You was doing things in a previous mentality. Don't matter. Nobody's side of you cares that you changed until you change, till you show it. And even when you show it, you still have to deal with the questioning of, well, is it still inside or not? You know, but it's all about how you handle it. Because with the proper perspective and attitude, you'll be able to transcend that. Not gonna be easy, but it's but it's so comfortable to just say, fuck that. I'm gonna go back to me. I'm gonna go back with me. And when I say me, it's the you deciding to be. So yeah, it's always been you if you me, but if you're trying to be a new you, then you're gonna have to do the you is the you know what I'm saying, go into yourself and come out the other way to where you flip it. So now me can look like something different, but it's all about the decision you make. You know what I'm saying? When we start talking about spirit and shit, like, this would be crazy. Shout out to Prada, you said highly agreed. Yeah, real shit. So, you know, it gets deep for real, you know, when it comes to all that kind of shit. But we do have Pluto trining Venus right now. So Venus just got into Libra. So Venus being in a different space is kind of helping too. Venus is back home. So, you know, the way we're going about relating things is becoming more, we have better tools to go about relating to ourselves and to others. We might have a better sense of our values, especially if we went through this retrograde with the you know what I'm saying, we did what we were supposed to do inside of that. So not only do we have better tools to think, we're thinking clearly, we're able to assess information better, but we also have a better way to think about values, a better, you know, an opportunity to think about what we value and actually put it into practice. Also expand the things that we truly value, you know what I'm saying? So right now, again, even encouraging and giving good, you know, giving good support and things like that, there's going to be an expansion, a gift of expansion in that area, where doing that can lead to better more information. It can be helpful. It can also be distracting too. It can be overwhelming. You can agree to do too much right now just based upon you feeling real comfortable with expanding your values. It's almost like you can right now, being that Venus is in a masculine, it's home, but it's in this masculine form. So it wants to give appreciation and love and support and balance. So you could be overly justifying, you could be overly fair, overly harmonious, try much of that, but use it what it's for. It's for good communication though, good communication flow, understanding how you think and how your mind state relates to another person's way of thinking. So a lot of clarity could be had when it comes to relationships. A lot of clarity could be had to even how you relate to yourself and understanding your values. So take that time to expand and get information on that. Use that information to relate better with yourself and others. Also, Venus trine Mars way to Cancer. So try not to sleep on the opportunity we have now to be passionate and to communicate what we're passionate about and to give good thoughts to what we're working on that we're passionate about. Because Mars, when it gets into Cancer, we know Mars and Cancer kind of starts to get a little sleepy. And that sleepiness, if you didn't already, like, everything is a transition. So the work we do in Gemini, the communications we have, make it take a nap. If y'all get what I'm saying, metaphorically speaking, or allegorically speaking, how you want to say it. The conversations we have make it comfortable to our passions. If we're not having those conversations right now, if we're not doing what we doing, if we're not doing what we doing, you know, having the conversations, if we not you know, passionately invested into the information that we're actually interested in getting or putting out, and when Mars goes into Cancer, it can be a frustrating time, because it's going to be like you're going to feel drained, or like you're not going to have as much energy to do certain things. It's almost like, imagine, like, let's imagine, right, you was working all day, and let's say you tired, right? You tired. So it's like you in a space where you like, you know what, I'm lay down. But let's say you didn't give clear instructions on what to do when you chose to lay down. So everybody in the house, or everybody at which you know, everybody who's working for you, or you know, they're all looking at you. They calling you constantly when you're trying to take a nap, trying to get more information on what to do, what to be, you know. Even you're tired, you have a limited amount of information, a limited amount of energy, of passion to work with. So when it comes to you knowing what you should be investing that passion into, if you didn't get a clear perspective and all the information you needed, then you're not going to know how to efficiently use your energy without being exhausted or overwhelmed. If you get as much information as you can now regarding what you're passionate about, and you're making those communications and connections, then you'll be in a different space, where come Mars and Cancer, when you don't have all the passion and willpower to always be on it 24/7, you know, if you don't have the idea of where to put that energy, you can make a lot of you could basically just frustrate yourself or feel burnt out. And we got to keep in mind too, the sun is in Virgo, but eventually it's going to be in Libra. So that's when the sun falls. That's when the sun, it needs to be able to recharge, and it's going to have to rely on relationships in order for things to get done. Because we know what you know, when it comes to Libra energy, the sun there, it's like, if you're not, it's like everything, it's like don't overlook, or don't, like, what's the right, it's like don't take for granted the time we have right now to actually have energy to work on something, to get something straight. Like I said before about Virgo being or all earth seasons and transitions being the foundation being built. So this is going into the fall time. This is harvest season. We need to collect all the food we can so that we have enough in stock to last us through harsher times, times of scarcity, even though we all abundant. But we have to put in that work in order to establish somewhat of a foundation to be protected through times in which things might get a little more scarce and things might be a little more difficult. So we have to be mindful. That's why, again, going back into the beginning of the video when I introduced it with time and money investments and being able to prioritize these things appropriately, we have to really be clear on that. You know what I'm saying? And the more clear we're able to be on those things, the better we'll be able to do with the limited resources we might have during the fall. Because during Libra season, again, the sun doesn't have the energy that it usually has. Mars is going to be in Cancer, or it should be in Cancer. It might not be, but if Mars is in Cancer, then that's going to be another factor to look into and to understand that everything might slow up and we might not have as much to work with. He said, so it took rituals to learn astrology and like programs created by ancients or people back in those times of discovery. Rituals, I mean, if you understand rituals as things you do with your body, it's like rituals and stuff you decide to do with your body, right? Those can turn into practices. Practices can turn into programs and systems. So in a sense, yeah. And you said created by ancients or people back in those times of discovery. Think about it like this, though. I wouldn't even tie it to ancients and people back then in times of discovery, because we still discovering shit. It's like, but in a sense, like all they did was take those things is you know what I'm saying? It's you kind of on the right path. You said golden time. You said golden age, time to let go of old for room for the new. Exactly. Yeah, a lot of releasing stuff, and again, you got to think about it like that too. The fall time. Fall is all about letting go, and so we have to. At this time, it's about condensing things. It's about that's what Virgo is all about. Efficiency. Virgo is about also making things simple. Let's cut off all the excess of what doesn't work, and let's just get to the root of what makes sense. And once we get to that root of what makes sense, then again, it's the equivalent of cleaning your room. So you got a bunch of shit all over the place. Your mind is gonna be all over the place. If you clean that shit up, all of a sudden you realize you start throwing out things you don't really need, and you make space in the room. All of a sudden things are organized. Now your mind is flowing, more organizing. You know what I'm saying? It's more like clear. All mutable energies are kind of like cleanup energies. You know what I'm saying? It's like cleaning things up, whether it be your emotional state in your dreams, or your philosophy, your lifestyle, and what you your moral system, your mind in general, or your routine in your it's like certain things like this help you clear your nervous system, because a lot of what might make you feel like panicking right now might be things that don't really need you to panic. It needs you more so to take control of it and take initiative and say, okay, well, I'm not going to let this thing become more important and more powerful than me. I'm going to put these things in this place. I'm going to take authority over it. And that's what all earth energies require us to do. Be responsible. You know what I'm saying? You say I have my moon in Virgo. I get what you're saying. Shout out to Miguel. Yeah, right. Even with moon and Virgo, like especially, it's all about, again, if especially moon and Virgo, if y'all got a lot on your mind, it's just like y'all feel crazy. Y'all feel like it's a lot. Shout out to y'all. But so getting back to the transit, so the moon, it will be in Leo eventually. So y'all know the transition from Cancer to Leo, it needs to be one of initiating new comfort so that you can start to become confident. Leo is about the confident. It's what you able to put on that stage, but it's in order to have strong stage presence, you have to trust yourself. You have to be confident. You have to believe what you say now, or what you're presenting. You have to trust that. When it comes to the moon in its relation to Virgo, it's setting us up to be able to commit to some work, commit to something to work on. So think in terms of that. The fixed nature of Leo right now, what we are reacting to is what we're paying attention to. So keep in mind that whatever you're paying attention to is going to lead you to worry, or it's going to push you and motivate you to work on it. If you're confident in it, you'll believe in working on it. It'll seem like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. But if you're not confident in it, guess what? You're probably going to try to come up with excuses or ways to avoid doing it. You're not going to feel equipped or like even see the purpose of doing the responsibilities necessary and shit like that to do what you need to do. So that's something you just got to keep in mind. If you're on the favorable side of energy, that's going to be you working on the stage and saying, okay, yeah, this is my character. So you're going to be analyzing the details of what your character needs to work on, how your stage needs to be repositioned. This is pretty much everything that we built on from even the previous energy. But if you're on the other side of energy, you might get you're gonna get very nervous about performing, and you're gonna be like, you know what, I don't know my lines, I don't know this, I don't believe that this is even worth working on. So again, less favorable side of energy, you might find it difficult to have confidence in what you're trying to work on and what you're trying to build, which could lead to distraction, or a better choice, which would be to figure out, you know, just to commit to adjusting things, just get it fixed. You know what I'm saying? Address what doesn't work and commit to fixing that. That if you're on the less favorable side. But again, people who plant bad seeds is going to look like completely abandoning the mission, or not taking the responsibilities necessary serious. So you're gonna look at the requirements, you can be like, man, fuck that, I'm not, you know what, I'll worry about that later. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do something that's more entertaining. So this is gonna be you kind of low-key slacking up, when right now we need to be buckling down. We need to focus in on what we about to commit to for the next 14 days. And I say 14 because that's how long the moon cycle usually is. So it's like, it's around 2 weeks. So when we hit the new moon, it's going to need us to wax and get to it, get to work. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have the right mentality, you're easily going to be manipulated by a lot of the stellium, because it's going to be, you're going to be worried regardless. So you got to look at it like that. You might be looking at the stage and be like, yeah, I'm worried. And the thing about worry and stress and fear, it's either going to make you freeze, or it's going to make you act. And you just, the name of the game right now is just don't freeze. Don't freeze. Stay focused and just do something. At the end of the day, if you don't know what to do and you're just looking at your life like, man, this shit fucked up, I don't know what, just commit to doing something that, just commit to doing something that looks productive, I want to say. But you might not even know what is productive. And if you're wondering what's productive, just think of what makes the most sense to do. Whether that's, you know, and just commit to that. Because even if you choose something that it turns out to be the wrong choice or a mistake, that's better than not doing anything, because you receive the information you need to, you know what I'm saying? You receive by doing it, you receive the information you need to make the adjustments. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I was wrong about this. Like, being wrong should feel good sometimes, because it's like, okay, that's why I wasn't getting the results. I was doing it wrong. So that's why, like, Virgo's like criticism. It's like, once you know what you was doing wrong, now I can fix it. So look at it like that. So don't be too scared to actually try something. Don't be, he said, I'm calling you if I'm stressed. Hey, don't call me. You could get a little reading or something like that. But yeah, nah, you know what I'm saying? We all do that. He said, better be grateful, be better. And he said, be grateful, be better, be in faith. He said, thanks to all who shine their light. Exactly. Real shit. Shout out to you. That's exactly it. I like that little trifecta, because that's really what it's about, you know? So you gotta, and even about that, like being grateful and stuff, like be grateful that you got something to work on. Be grateful that, you know, you aware enough to know how to handle. It's like, it's almost like sometimes you gotta look at yourself, right? Say you do stuff, whatever you put out into the world, being criticized. It's kind of a gift to be criticized sometimes, because it lets you know you did something. People wouldn't criticize it if you didn't do it. So, you know, sometimes, like, you might be scared of critique. You might not want to be critiqued or judged for what you do, but sometimes it's a gift to be critiqued. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like, You know, we might not always see it like that, and sometimes it's annoying and sometimes it's distracting, but when it's constructive criticism, it's work, you know, it's always good. So you know, yeah. But part of the moon being in Leo is going to be trining Chiron in the North Node. So again, being more comfortable with our spiritual path, also being comfortable with mistakes. Right now, we know that we made mistakes. It's also going to be conjunct Mercury. The moon is going to be conjunct Mercury a little bit later into the transit. So there's going to be a sense of even confirmation emotionally on whether or not you stuck to the right things during the retrograde, and whether or not you release the proper things. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when it comes to the moon, we gonna kind of like get a chance to really see whether or not it's almost like regardless, we're gonna be able to see a fair amount of whether or not we should double down or whether we should kind of readjust. You know, if you've been doing the right, you've been doing your thing, you've been planting the seeds, then it's gonna be double down time where you already know what to do and you stuck to your guns and you kept it solid. So now it's like, let's double up. If you kind of wasn't doing what you're supposed to do, or you just and again, sometimes it's like I said before, you, as long as you do something, it's going to give you the information you need to be able to adjust later. So you might get to a point where you just want to switch courses, and that's appropriate too. That's reasonable. If you got the right information, you should change according to the information you get. You know what I'm saying? If you get better information on a better way to do it, there's nothing wrong with adjusting. That's the intelligent thing to do. The stubborn and ignorant thing to do would be to rely on you know, just be stubborn and stuck into your own way. You know, a lot of people get in their own way like that. So, you know, you got to be able to take that new information and do something with it. You know, that's going to be another aspect of the energy, whereas like if you make a decision to switch things up, you know, chances are if you've been doing what you're supposed to do, you already got abilities and gifts that you can still apply to your situation that make it work, you know, make it work even better. So, you know, that's an aspect too. So you know, don't look at a change of course as a bad thing, but right now overall it's just going to be the moon trine, and Chiron is going to be able to accept those what might have been a mistake, you know, and being able to accept that. And then it's also an opportunity to understand too, from a south node perspective, things that you've had to switch up on, you know what I'm saying? And see, Venus, that's another thing too about Venus that we should be aware of. Venus being in Libra is going to be close to the north, to the south node, so this could be an appreciation of things that kind of bring you nostalgia, an appreciation of things that you used to relate to, that you used to appreciate. And these things could give you a little bit of comfort, because Venus being in Libra is also going to be opposite the North Node. So it's going to be it's almost like we might lack appreciation for kind of jumping into the abyss of something new. So try not to, you know, but on the other end, balance, you know, say, so it's all about balance. You want to balance a certain level of familiarity and comfortability with still the understanding that you have to go further, you have to do more things, you have to get out into the world and experience more, and you know, do your North Node, kind of do things that's uncomfortable. But you know, Venus being close to the South Node though, that conjunction, we might, you know, we might find a lot of things that we, maybe skills that we built up on previously, or you know, where this could be a time of a lot of gratitude just for things that we know help get us to where we at now. You just gotta keep your mind on knowing that I'm still jumping into uncomfortability. I'm still moving towards the betterment of my you know, the I was gonna say the betterment of my development, but that's kind of high key what it is. It's like I'm I gotta be committed to, you know, still going into the unknown and still looking to expand, you know. But it's a balance thing, because jumping into that space with nothing, it might be real harsh, and it puts you in a space where it's difficult. It ends up being more difficult to get there, you know. But I kind of get energies of knowing where you been in order to know where you're going, because the sun itself is a misunderstanding in alignment. It's in conjunction with the North Node. So the sun itself, it's almost like sometimes it might feel a little bit, it might be a little confusing as to understand why you got to do this and work on this right now in order to get what you really want, or in order to continue on with your path. It's gonna be like, whoa, what I'm working on doesn't seem related to my spiritual path. But it's kind of like that Mr. Miyagi shit, where that he didn't know that him wiping the windows was going to become a move that he was able to use in combat. Like, he was just doing it and not understanding, why am I doing this simple stuff that don't got nothing to do with karate? You know what I'm saying? Why am I doing all that? And then when it time came, he was like, oh shit, I got that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that becomes that energy. So that's what I get right now from that relationship. But now the moon also going to be sextile in Venus too, so opportunity to feel comfortable with the things that we relate to, but also pleasures too. So again, like I said before, this could lead to distraction. You know, you just saying, you know what, this is too much work, I'm gonna do what feels good. And in a lot of ways, you know, at the same time, we at the tail end of a waning period. If you did what you're supposed to do, by all means, enjoy what you want to enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, that's another aspect too. Not everything is meant to, you know, reject relaxing and having fun. If you did what you're supposed to do, then this is a good sextile for you. This is a time where, yeah, you might have a little time to enjoy something, or to appreciate, you know, something that, you know, whether it's hanging out with friends, or, you know, doing something that might be a cool little thing. You know, whenever Leo and Libra link up, it's a party, you know what I'm saying? So you might have something that you can do. If you've been planting the right seeds, it should be very clear and possible for you to have some fun right now. You know, no matter what you find, you know, it's all up to what you find entertaining. The moon being in Leo is gonna in conjunct Saturn, so misunderstanding how to feel about reality. Right, we don't know what we're building right now, we don't understand it all the way, but if your heart is in the right place, if you're being true to self, then, you know, there's something to believe in there. You know what I'm saying? That faith is not going to lead you astray. If you still confused on who you are, then this is where, again, you can invest a lot of energy into an illusion based upon you not understanding what's real. So you might express yourself in a way, and, you know, you might even you might end up embarrassing yourself based upon you trying to build something that is not really that. So try not to do too much over exaggeration, especially not during the Virgo season. Stay away from exaggeration. Keep things as simple and moot as possible. Just very, you know what I'm saying, cut dry as possible. Because too much excitement, too much exaggeration, that Virgo can take that very harsh, because it's like a setup, you know what I'm saying? They are already skeptical, but now you done got them excited, and it's like, oh shit, that wasn't even reality. They pissed and shit like that. So you don't want to create that situation for yourself and do things in your life. And then again, everybody's acting on this energy, so you'll let a lot of people down. People will be kind of upset with you. It might be harder to do what you need to do when the new moon comes. Yeah, Leo, moon and Leo going to be square Uranus, so learning how to feel about being an individual, you know what I'm saying, committing to a schedule. You got to know that's just your individual schedule, and it's nobody's real business about what it is, you know, but it has to work for you. You know, you might want to do the popular thing and be seen, but right now it's all about the groundwork. This is harvest season, so we need to gather what we can instead of trying to be too concerned about being seen, because some people going to not want to let go of the summertime, and so those people are going to get caught up in trying to do things, and, oh, let me just, you know, they're going to waste their time and money and energy on things that get them attention or just make them feel good, when they could have, they needed to be a little more responsible with their resources. You know what I'm saying? So that's an aspect that you got to be aware of. And then what is it? Moon and Leo, opposite Pluto. Not, well, yeah, 0 degrees. So yeah, that's what we getting hit with now, actually. So kind of an emotional transition, an emotional death, in a sense, like kind of, or feeling at odds with transformation. So again, we have to acknowledge a transformation is necessary to create balance in our life. How we feel about something right now, we probably have to go through some kind of transformation in order to have better balance in between the two energies, between, you know, what we're actually trying to be comfortable with. So just be aware of that. And What else? I think that's about it, right? Aries, we talked about Aries, we talked about Taurus, we talked about, oh, Gemini. So sextile in Jupiter, moon sextile in Jupiter, expanded. Shout out to Schwetzel. Said big love to the A. Hey, you already know, man. Shout out to you, man. Capricorn shit. Shout out to my boy Schwetzel. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to moon sextile in Jupiter, again, expanding on how we feel. It's expanding on how we feel about ourselves. So again, this is a great time this is a time you want to charge yourself up with all kinds of positive, confidence on, I can do this. I can achieve these goals. I can commit to this schedule. I can commit to this. If you want a better side of energy, that's literally the best thing you could do right now, is charge yourself up with all that good sun energy to make you confident about committing to this plan. Because when it gets hard, you're gonna need something to remind you of why you're doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So boom, charge yourself up. If you're on a less favorable side of energy, that's gonna have to be it's gonna expand on things that's probably gonna make you a little insecure. So you might have to do a little more work on gaining that confidence. That's kind of like if you're on a less favorable side of energy and you kind of, let's say you wasn't being in your integrity and you was kind of setting yourself up for certain shit, you got to kind of just bite the bullet on that. You're going to have to kind of just understand that, okay, I'm going to have to be confident about something. I got to take pride in something. So find, again, even if it's one thing that seems small, if it's working to make your life better, it's worth it. You might have to work from the ground up. You might not have the resources to do what you want to do. You might not have the resources to set the stage how you want to. Accept that for what it is and commit to just getting better with what you do have. One thing about Virgo too, it's the best of knowing how to work with what it has. So that's the benefit. It's gonna feel you might feel embarrassed because Lilith is in Virgo. You might feel like get feelings and thoughts and doubts of and feelings of worthlessness. You might feel like, man, man. You might be dealing with all kinds of internal turmoil, overthinking about it, stressing about it, but you have to center yourself and switch that to, I can improve though. You know what I'm saying? You got to flip the switch. I can improve on it though. I can work on it though. And trust that. That's what you have to have faith in as a Virgo. If you're a Virgo that hit rock bottom, or you just dealing with a lot of heavy Virgo energy, you have to get to a point where you can flip the switch and say, I have faith in my ability to improve this. Like, you might not do what a Pisces do, which is, I just have faith in general. I'm optimistic that things could turn out. For a Virgo, if you want to develop faith, start with just simply, I have faith in myself to fix whatever I'm going through. That'll get you where you need to go, because that's enough of faith and belief to give you the motivation to do what faith is supposed to do without giving you the la la land bullshit that might come from a Pisces friend or a Sagittarius friend telling you, yeah, just everything will work out. A Virgo can't deal with everything will work out. Like, what the fuck you mean? Instead, for a Virgo to have faith, just remind yourself, I believe that I have the ability to fix anything I'm going through, and then that'll get you where you need to go as far as faith. Yeah. And then the moon in Leo sextile in Mars. So the feeling more connected to passions, but this could also be frustration. So this could look like the motivation to actually help you set that stage. That's why I said, charge yourself up with that good energy. There's an opportunity to charge yourself up with everything you're gonna need to tackle these goals and these tasks. And then but again, just be careful of being frustrated. Chances are you're not frustrated at anybody outside of you. You low-key frustrated with yourself, and you're just projecting it. So watch out for projection energy, especially if you're not satisfied with your circumstance. That's your fault. No matter what it looked like. Somebody might have, this person set me up, this person stole from me, this person, you open the door for that. Chill out. Chances are you did something first. You can get your get back, but you did something first, and you got to get yourself straight with that. Once you get yourself straight with that, you can now assess from a proper perspective of whether the get back is worth it. You know what I'm saying? That can prevent you from crashing out unjustifiably. If you're gonna crash out, you might as well be justified for it. So do the self-work first. Check yourself. Have to check ourselves right now, because Virgo make it so easy to criticize others. But the second you point one finger, what they say, one finger at you is four back at me type shit. So it's like you gotta remember, it's all me. You know what I'm saying? Shit. That don't even work. It's like I get what they saying, but it's like that thumb. You know what I'm saying? But anyway. So that's something we got to keep in mind. Again, a good rule of thumb for the next 14 days, make a task list for every day, even if it's only 2 things on that task list. Practice the art of completing things, and that's a little rituals, little spell, little hack you could do to kind of trick your spirit into doing the Virgo energy. So it's like, even though it might seem like it's on a small scale, if you really invest a lot of energy behind your schedule and you really commit to getting something done on a task list done every day, that'll help things you trying to manifest type shit, because you playing out the energy in a favorable way, doing what the energy's supposed to do. Now and it's like you got to do that task list, but also keep in mind where the moon is at, and that task list should look something, it should be inspired by whatever the moon, not the house the moon is in for you, and the sign the moon is in. Now be careful with that chosen word. You know what I'm saying? We chose ourselves. I like that term better, instead of just saying we are chosen, because what outside of us is choosing us? Anytime we did anything for ourselves, anytime we did anything, it was because we chose to do it. We make decisions. We are the creators in that sense. So instead of saying we are chosen, just say we chose ourselves. You know, say that prevents you from that little, you know, say I know, and I'm not pointing you out either, because I know you're saying, I get what you're saying, but being more specific in how to word that. Because the chosen ones and all that shit, that's again age of Aquarius narcissism in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm more superior. It's like, even having the information that we have and being on this channel and shit, a lot of the purpose of it is to spread it, is to help others who might not see it this way or be aware. You know what I'm saying? We got to remind them, like, hey, y'all can choose yourselves too. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta do things because you think that's right, and you ain't gotta do things because you know, yeah. He said, what path are you on? I don't know. That's personal. You know what I'm saying? Everybody on their own path. But my path is the energy you get from my brand, the energy you get from what I produce. That's what my path is. I don't want to get into the specifics until we in person. You feel me? Yeah, I feel what you're saying. You said what path? Oh, you said only 2 sides. Okay, I get what you're saying. But right, yeah, only 2 sides of it. Either you distracted or you're not. You know. But anyway, getting into, I think that was it, right? Okay, we talked about Leo, Gemini, passion. We talked about Cancer. Leo itself, conjunction with Mercury. We talked about Virgo. I mean, it's right next to each other, so not making no heavy alignments. We talked about Libra a little bit. Yeah, Scorpio. Then we got Sag. We got Cap. Then we got Aquarius. Yeah, I think that's about it. Pisces, in conjunction with those energies. Yeah. So that's about it for all the energies that's getting hit with the moon in Leo, the moon moving into Leo later today. You know, so it's probably gonna be around the afternoon, or it might, yeah, about the afternoon time. So just keep those things in mind right now. Like I said, like this is the last little bit of the waning period. So this is where, you know, we're clearing things up. If you did what you're supposed to do, you should have enough free time to charge yourself up with some good energy, get your mind right for when this transition happens and we get to the new moon. And you know what I'm saying, yeah, we chose ourselves, real shit. So, you know, if you planted the right seeds, this is you know, getting a little time to charge yourself up, get prepared. And if you know, you on a less favorable side of energy, you dealing with some other things, some extenuating circumstances, this is you playing cleanup, you know what I'm saying? So just do what you got to do, and then, you know, you'll get on your path. Yeah. The thing about Neptune, I think I was making a point earlier about Neptune moving into Aries, and I was just gonna say, you know, when it comes to dreams, we're gonna have to really it's gonna be, everybody's gonna have their personal dream. Thing about it is, you want to make sure your personal dreams more so is like you're fighting for the right things. You fighting for the right things. You believe in the right things. A lot of people are not gonna know what to fight for, and they might be confused. And when people don't know what to fight for, they're gonna adopt whatever the system tells them is worth fighting for. So again, all of these, because again, there's even been conversations, we know foreign affairs and stuff like that, they try to make you think about these things as threats. So they're using all kinds of crazy things to manipulate people's minds, to create fear. Cyber attacks, that's very Neptune Aries energy, in my opinion. Cyber attack, even though that's a age of Aquarius thing, but again, Pluto sextile in Neptune and Aries, Pluto and Aquarius sextile in Neptune and Aries, they're gonna create so much fear around this new technology that people are not gonna take advantage of it. And we can't be afraid of these things. We have to understand what they are and utilize them now at a ground level, so that we're able to protect ourselves in ways based upon not being dependent on a system. That's how we protect ourselves, creating systems that don't require us to be dependent on somebody else's system, becoming, self-sufficient in that manner. So in that self-sufficient, it's got to be back to supported by us being intelligent and coming together. We don't need no bozos in the community, but we should have a level of grace to be willing to teach those who want to learn. If they don't want to learn, though, this, what I'm saying, hey, can't kick it. What I'm saying, can't kick it with those who don't want to learn. That's just foolish. But yeah, we in some powerful time. Some powerful time. So y'all stay tuned. Speaking of Teach One, we got the women's Each One Teach One coming very soon. They're getting things cooking around, I believe the date is October 12th. So you need to make sure you send an email if you're interested in being in the classes. Send an email to 717conference at 717conference.info@gmail.com. Oh, shout out to Jackie. I'm glad you up in here. You said October 21st, so not the 12th, October 21st. So again, either send us an email at 717conference.info@gmail.com, or y'all can hit up Jackie New directly, Shine in the Darkness directly, Jess directly, free. You can hit her up directly. You know what I'm saying? The Hanged Empress, they're going to be leading, and then also Jade. They're all going to be leading the classes. So, you can hit them up directly, or, just reach out to me. I could give you all the information you need. And we're going to be throwing up some more so clear details on how to get signed up and all that for that. But y'all be on the lookout for that. What else? I feel like there was something else. Also, as we approach the fall, well, actually, nah, I'll say that announcement for later and shit like that. But other than that, I appreciate all y'all for sliding through. Much love. Like I said before, stay focused. You know what I'm saying? Right now, Virgo season, we just got to stay locked in, do what we need to do, get the responsibilities taken care of, and we'll be straight. Much love.